This week on the unofficial N8n podcast, we talk about data pinning, community nodes, and the N8n node hackathon. I've also got my co-host Alex with me, so let's go ahead and get started. This podcast is brought to you by AZ Technology Solutions. AZ Technology is the web design company that Alex and I run. We both work full-time jobs, however, so we aren't taking any new business at the moment. However, you can visit aztechsoul.com/N8n for more information about us and the show. You can also view all the show notes and listen to all the episodes in one place. You could also find us on Spotify or wherever you consume your podcasts. Just a quick disclosure, while we feature N8n in our podcast name, we are in no way affiliated with N8n. We are part-time automation enthusiasts who enjoy building automations on the N8n platform. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of Angel and Alex, and do not necessarily reflect the views of N8n.io, its affiliates, or its employees. All right, and just with that, we're here. So Alex, hey, welcome. We made it.
Hey. Yep. How's it going?
Good. I'm excited, man. Ready to knock this one out. So I don't want to take too much time. I know that, if they let me, I'll talk this whole time. But looking forward to having you on here and going through today's episode.
Yeah, definitely. Me too.
All right, man. Let's do it. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and dive right in. So there's a few things. There's been a few releases, right? So last I checked, we're on version 0.189. So the team has been busy at work. They've been releasing, not as crazy as it has been, the last 2 to 3 weeks, Alex, I'd say. Something like that. But man, definitely. They've been doing a great job. So they just released an update on 187.187 called data pinning. And oh man, I'm so excited, Alex. So this is something that I feel like I've kind of beat my head against the brick wall. I feel like I've had to learn how to use Postman just so that I can kind of, interface with N8n sometimes, be able to send data in, especially with webhooks. Working with webhooks can get a little frustrating because you have to make sure to shoot those in. So N8n did something pretty cool, which is they let you basically cache the data that you get from a specific node. So, for example, I've built a few, workflows using things like Calendly or, just even Slack has its own webhooks that you can utilize. So utilizing this data pinning feature allows me to quickly receive one call. And in the past, what I've had to do is essentially hit, and I think you've had this issue too, you have to hit execute, you have to go to the Slack or to whatever, execute the code, have it send out the webhook, and then it'll hit it in N8n, and then you'll get your data, and then you can start working, right? And
yeah, this used to be like a 3-step process.
Yeah,
it just took time.
Yeah, exactly. So the new feature I'm pretty excited about. So, and actually let's show. Well, I don't have any specific examples, but maybe for one of our demo trainings or builds, we can show it off a little bit. So anyway, so I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited. I've already been using it a little bit today. I didn't really need to. I was working a little project, basically, pulling data, and one of the nodes pulls a list of clients. So I pinned that, and then I just ran it, and it seems to run a little faster. I don't know. You haven't had a chance to play with it yet, right, Alex?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
So it's I like it. I think it's one of those things that you don't really notice at first, but once you do and you start using it, it's awesome. So, don't want to take up too much time, but other than that, I think it's great. I'd love to see the direction it's heading. The other thing that they've released is community nodes. Now, I hate to say this, but I don't think either of us have played too much with this, right? What's your understanding of this, Alex?
Yeah, so I looked into it a little bit, and essentially what you do is use NPM to actually install these different community packages as nodes in your N8n instance. So like you said, I haven't really played around with it too much, but it seems like a pretty easy and UI driven way to actually get these nodes in your instance to play around with.
Yeah, agreed. And so I I love the nodes that are already pre-built, and I think it's great the ones that are already there. I use the HTTP request a lot sometimes, but I would love to be able to easily build my own nodes so that I don't have to utilize that HTTP request all the time. I don't know about you, but I build these sandbox type workflows that are just like 3 nodes, just like trying to figure them out, and then I'll copy and paste that into a bigger node. I'm sorry, a bigger workflow. Um, so it's something that, yeah, I would love to compress it all down into a single node. The only problem is I feel like my JavaScript knowledge is not where it needs to be to build it. So I'm gonna take a stab. I want to learn, right? I think me and you, maybe we can team up and try to join the. And actually, not to good segue. N8n is doing a hackathon where, as part of this, from I believe it's August 18th till the 29th, you're able to build your own node, submit it to NPM, and you have to use a special tag. And from there, you can then import it into N8n. Now, to import it, you're going to have to make sure you're running the latest version of N8n. And then you're going to click on the bottom left-hand corner on... Actually, that I can actually show. Let's take a look here. There we are. So down here, bottom left-hand corner here, I'm going to go to Settings. I'm going to go to Community Nodes. And here we can install a community node. So here you need to know the package name. And of course, I like that they added a little image there at the top with the little N8n nodes chat work. Or I'm sorry, what the name you need to copy is. So that's very useful. Nice. I like that. That's great. I want to see more documentation like that. So that's great. So then you accept the risk. I love it. I think it's great. I've seen 1 or 2 really cool nodes in there. I think me and you, before the show, we noticed there was one for Puppeteer that looked really cool. But again, it's one of those things that if you don't know it exists, it's very difficult to remember, I can bring it in. So I think it's one of those things that my hope is that the developers of these nodes do a good job marketing them, and I think N8n is doing a good job of marketing these too. It's just, as you can see, it's a little hard to get to, kind of getting into the settings. You have to know that it's there. But my thought process, I guess, is that if you are stuck, right, and you do a quick Google search, N8n, and then, whatever application or system you want, you're going to end up on NPM's website, right? And at which case you're going to be able to just, you can go into the documentation and figure out how to bring those nodes in, right? I think that's kind of the thought process.
Yeah. The only other thing I could think of is maybe including it on the, the right-hand side where you click plus, or where you have a list of nodes, maybe a little call out there, but something.
Well, and look, they've already started that trend. So I feel kind of bad too. Real quick, from the last episode, I talked a little bit about these sticky notes, and I just mentioned that I didn't see a need or much of a use for them, and I feel bad now because I've started using them and I really like them. But I think you're right. If they had, like, right below the sticky notes, maybe another little icon that appeared that was like the plus, but with some kind of a community avatar thing to kind of signal that it's from the community side. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know, because one of the things with these community nodes, and they even call it out, with the checkbox for accepting risk, is that you're essentially trusting whoever created it. So
yes.
There could be always some risk that they're doing something malicious with the nodes. So it is good to do your own due diligence.
Yeah.
They could very well do something that you don't want them to do.
Well, I've always thought, if a hacker got a hold of these, directories and packages, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't get too much into that, but yeah.
But yeah, so like that's the main, I guess, caveat to this, and I don't know, but maybe even like a vetted node list where they could even become official.
Yeah.
And call out the author or something like that.
Or they do have reviews, right? I'm guessing on NPM. I guess, would that be a way to check? Actually,
I'd have to look more into that. But I don't think. I know the N8n team has you can report them to security at n8n.io.
Oh, nice.
That's an email address that you can report any of this bad activity if there is any. I haven't heard of any
Yeah, me neither.
yet. So
Yeah,
it's
fingers
it's pretty
crossed.
new. So it's only about 2 weeks old. So
Perfect.
probably nothing. Yeah, maybe something that kind of calls it out that like this is a vetted community package.
Mm-hmm.
That way there's a little bit more trust there, and maybe include those on the right hand side under the list of nodes, like how when you click the plus button, how you have like the different kind of categories.
Yeah.
Maybe include community nodes there and
Yeah, like
install,
a quick
and then
install option or something.
exactly like right there
Oh
on the far
yeah,
right, like community, and anything that's been vetted to
that
us,
would be wonderful. And how
and then
hard
you
could it be to get an
yeah,
API list of all
and then
those packages
and then easily click install,
Mhm.
and then you can
I
then
love it.
access it in your workflow.
I love it. Yeah, I think that would be a great way to like make it more obvious because otherwise I think it's a little kind of a little hidden away and I think over time they'll bring it to the front. But I love that idea. That's a great idea. So if you guys are listening, you know, we won't charge for this advice. So this time. Now, anyway, all right, awesome. So that makes sense. So I don't want to take up a huge amount of time. I mean, oh well, I guess one other thing real quick. So the sticky notes, what I've been doing, I guess, is I've been using it for my sandboxes when I'm building out a sandbox. I'll create the note here, and what I'll do is I'll copy all of the documentation links that I'm using for that particular workflow. Because more often than not, what I'm building really are HTTP requests, and I'm building out, endpoint by endpoint. And so it's nice to be able to quickly have a list of all of your documentation for that API here on top. So I can just click on the link, go straight to the documentation, copy the part that I need, come back to my node, and be good to go.
Yeah, it's really handy. I wish that existed when you were first building workflows.
I
Because
know.
there's been
Oh
a
god.
lot of troubleshooting on my end.
I know you've inherited a few of my
Trying to
workflows.
figure them out. Yeah, nothing too terrible, but just documentation links for sure. Not even anything.
Yo, you know what I've
Not
been
anything
doing?
Angel did wrong, but
Oh
documentation
no, I
links.
agree. I totally. And one of the things, I think one of the hard parts of building in N8n is that you don't realize that components exist, right? And components being workflows inside of workflows. Like it's not a super obvious or intuitive thing, but it is so powerful. It's such a powerful part of it. So if you go to execute workflow right here, you can essentially embed a workflow inside of another workflow. And the cool thing about this, and I was actually having a discussion today, actually on the N8n Discord channel about this, but they were asking, is it better to build a big workflow with everything baked into it, or lots of little workflows that do everything kind of on the fringe? And my response to the person that posted on there was, I like to embed the two. I like to embed workflows and make small modular workflows and embed those in a bigger framework of workflows. The downside to that is that you have to think really big picture. You have to really think out everything that you're building out and think, okay, this part is going to be modular. I'm going to be doing this over and over. What are my inputs? What are my outputs? But I find that the execute workflow works great. The other thing is, I don't know if you use this, but I consider this basically the commenting node, the no operation, do nothing. I basically use this now for almost all of my builds. What I'll do is I'll have basically, you want to make sure you change the names of your nodes. So what I'll tend to do is I'll have, I'll try to name all my nodes really well. And then when there's a gap between what a node is doing and where the logic is going, I'll insert one of these no operations, and then I'll change the name of it to what I'm doing. So, if I'm, no values found, I'll set that, maybe I'll add that to an if node. So I'll take here we go. So I might do no values found, and then I'll do no operation, and then we'll do values found. Values found. There we go. So there we go. So then, since it doesn't do anything, I can essentially from here, keep adding stuff. But then when somebody else comes back to read my code or to look at my nodes, they're not wanting to kill me, unlike some people.
I think too, like, and it might be a nightmare from a UI standpoint. I haven't ever designed anything really UI focused, so could be
Same.
could be lot of work, but I almost wonder if making those sticky notes, like if you could highlight nodes and then like essentially place a sticky note around them. You
Like,
could call that out, like for instance, that no values found, you've got a path.
uh,
Values found, you've got a path. Almost like instead of adding that, if you just like highlight that whole path and then add a sticky note behind it saying, no values found. That way you can highlight that whole.
oh, I see. You're saying something like this, right?
Exactly. And but I can see where in a larger workflow,
Hmm.
more than just four nodes here,
Yeah.
where it might be hard to like fit everything in a square box. So
Yes.
that's where like that highlight, add a sticky note behind, where it's almost like a free form. Like I said, UI
Nice.
is not my forte, so that could be a lot harder than I'm imagining
I could
imagining it
imagine.
to be. So
No, that makes sense. But I am finding that this is very helpful, especially if you're taking a step back and you're trying to really make it super simple what you're doing. And I find that's where I tend to go wrong, is I tend to overcomplicate everything. So I'm like, oh man, how big can I make this workflow? So turning around and thinking, no, how small can I make this, how modular, that has been very helpful. It's been less stressful overall, I would say. I don't know about you, but
yeah, no, definitely being able to open something up and not see Chrome slow down trying to display it.
yeah, like freaking out. Oh gosh.
No,
Anyway,
actually, something I haven't noticed with N8n a lot though. Actually, it seems very optimized for uh, displaying that stuff.
yeah, I agree. And even I've been using desktop mode as well, and I haven't had any issues there either. I did have some issues with desktop mode on Mac, but I actually found a really cool hack. So if you open up N8n on Mac and you essentially leave it running, maybe minimize it, and then on your browser you go to localhost semicolon and then the port, which I think is 5679, it'll load your N8n instance inside of your browser. And I find that so much better because in the desktop mode, I can't press Command F and search my screen for a little piece of
Yeah,
code, a little piece of JSON. Whereas in the browser, I can anywhere I want, Command F, right? So doing that, I can essentially pull up a big old piece of JSON, Command F, search for what I'm looking for, find it, and be there. Whereas on the desktop mode, you can't really do that. You're just kind of. So anyway, not to talk bad, I love desktop mode, but what do you do? Anyway, I think we've taken up everybody's time long enough. It has been a pleasure talking to you today, Alex.
yeah,
So
definitely. Same.
during the week, you can find me on the N8n Community Forum, available at community.n8n.io. I spend a lot of my free time on there helping answer questions for newer members. It's a great place to go if you get stuck with an automation build. And you can also reach us directly by visiting AZ Technology website, aztechsoul.com/N8n, clicking on the N8n contact or N8n menu item. You can find me online as DJ Angelic. How about you, Alex? Do you have any pluggables?
Uh, Not pretty much the same ones you have for for AZ Tech Soul, but yeah, I need to get on that, huh?
Oh, it's all good, man. You're good. Awesome. Well, everybody, hopefully we'll see you next month. We'll do our best. We both have kids, so it's hard to lock down some times where we're both available, but we always love doing these, and we love
These are all late night sessions.
Yes, exactly. But overall, I just want to say we're grateful to the N8n team making this a free product. It's one of those things that I feel that is the kind of stuff that builds a community when you're not trying to pull people's, nickels and dimes out of people. Everyone kind of congregates around that. I think it gives you a sense of freedom. So anyway, pleasure. Have a great one, and we'll
Thanks.
see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.